What's going on, you guys? This is Luke with Dark Fiction Factory. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about self-publishing and just getting started. I recently published 2 novels myself, and I wanted to share with you 5 things that I learned while going through the process. Now, let me preface this by saying I'm not claiming to be some expert in this area, I'm not a self-publishing guru, and I honestly didn't sell very many books. But what I have done is taken the steps to self-publish a couple of my own novels, and on this channel, I like sharing my journey as an author with others who might be in the same situation or anyone who might be thinking about self-publishing but doesn't really know how to get started. Self-publishing is not glamorous, but it can be very rewarding even if you only sell a handful of copies. But is it worth it? When is it worth it? Let's dive into 5 things that I learned from self-publishing my first 2 books, with one final thought at the end. 1. It's not as hard as you think if you prepare. Now, self-publishing will be frustrating at times, that's a given. But it's not as hard as you might think, and there are a lot of resources out there. It seems simple, but to get started, just watch a bunch of YouTube videos, read a bunch of articles. There is so much knowledge out there on the topic of self-publishing that you can really educate yourself so that you understand the steps that are going to be involved before you get started. This will really help ease the sting of facing the unknown. If you learn the basics of the process of self-publishing, it will save you a lot of headaches down the road because you'll kind of know what to expect. Now, you'll have new speed bumps along the way, you'll have obstacles that you didn't expect, but at least you'll have a general idea of the direction that you're going. Do some homework, find some other self-published authors who have had some success, and see what you can mirror from the way that they rolled out their self-published books. 2. There are a lot of people out there who can help you. As you start to understand the process, you'll understand that you need your book formatted, you need cover art, you need a marketing strategy, you need a promotional and a launch plan. Now, this all sounds very overwhelming, but there are people out there to help you. Don't be afraid to reach out to people that you know, and you probably know more people who could be helpful than you might think. Put some posts out, go through your social media network, and I bet you there's likely someone that you know or that you're connected to who's an aspiring artist or, and also an author who's looking to do some work on the side. Chances are you'll find someone who's willing to help you out, at least in some area, especially if you're willing to pay even a modest fee for their help. Even if you don't know anyone who can help, you can go to sites like Fiverr or other job boards and find artists or editors or pretty much anything else that you might need. Just be sure to look at their user ratings and some of their previous work before you pay any money up front. The key to getting help from other people is really just don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing that can happen is someone could say no. So bottom line, do not try to go it alone throughout the entire process. Try to find some help. And this will also expand your network of contacts when you're looking to work on your next project. So it's really a win-win to work with someone else. 3. Manage your expectations and your excitement. When you publish your first novel, you might see a short spike in sales. This is a euphoric moment, so enjoy it and remember it for future fuel. But even if you are lucky enough to experience this, chances are most of your sales probably came from friends and family or people who know you from your social media network. Unfortunately, don't expect this to last. Typically, when someone publishes their first novel, if they're just an unknown author, they might see a short spike because it's something new, it's a new journey they're taking on. They're putting it out into the world saying, hey, I just wrote a book. That's pretty huge, that's pretty awesome. You might get a lot of your friends, family, social media friends who pick it up, they buy it, they even read it, they even leave a review. However, when someone goes ahead and publishes their second book, a lot of that excitement has sort of waned. You've already proven that you can write a book, so there might be a little bit less interest. Now, of course, this is just my personal experience and what I've seen talking to other authors that are sort of at this unknown level. And it's really just a natural thing. You really can't be upset with people. People just don't always have the time to pick up a book or a novel. And the key is to remember that euphoria of making those sales and use it again as fuel to drive you forward. Don't get discouraged if you don't sell a ton of books. And to be honest, remember that people often discover a book a long time after it's written. Some famous authors didn't even get famous until well after their death. I know that's kind of a morbid thought, but it is true. When you're writing, whether it be a book, a short story, a poem, whatever, you're not only writing for the audience right now, but you're also writing for future generations who might discover your work later on. 4. Books are a hard sell in the modern age of art. Selling books online is hard enough, but do not think you're going to go to live conventions and suddenly sell a ton of books. Books are a really hard sell among toys and DVDs and artwork that you can hang on your wall and collectibles and whatnot. Those are physical items that someone can see, they can hold, they can tell that they like it right off the bat. Whereas a book, you really don't know if you're going to enjoy a book until after you read it, of course. So purchasing a book is a lot more of a gamble than purchasing, say, a painting or something like that. It's just a fundamentally more risky purchase. Not to mention that fewer people read now than they used to, and it's kind of understandable because they have so many more options, right? So for instance, in the days of Stephen King in his heyday, people only had basic cable, the movie theater, or whatever. Nowadays, with all the streaming services, social media, your phone, your computer, people just have a lot more options. So it is a little tricky, a little tough to, break through with just an old-fashioned printed book. Also, at a live show, you have to be very personable, which can be hard for me sometimes. I think personally I can have a really great conversation with someone once it is struck up, but to just sort of start a conversation with a complete stranger as they're walking by my little vendor table of books and bookmarks, it can be challenging. So if you do go to live shows and conventions, try to have some pre-thought out, almost like pickup lines to start up conversations. Have some exciting items or eye-catching items at your table that will sort of, strike at somebody's interest and be sort of a conversation starter. But again, even if you don't do well at a live show, if you don't sell very many books or you feel like you just didn't do well, try to find the win, right? Try to find that one thing that did go well, that one interaction you had that you really hit it off. Maybe you sold one book, and if you did, focus on that and how did that go down and how can you replicate that in the future. I actually made a video about my very first experience at a convention. If you guys want to check it out, I will link it right here in the video. At the end of the day, just try to stay positive, but you should also be self-aware. Identify where you went wrong, what you did wrong, what you could improve. So don't beat yourself up over it, but recognize where you fell short so you can improve it next time. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you're kind of doomed. And to play off that a little bit, number 5, you should always be looking for ways to grow and change. Regardless of your personal author journey, you are going to encounter hardships, failures, or situations that just leave you feeling deflated. Instead of letting this defeat you, remember those small victories and use them as fuel to keep you on the grind. But don't just do the same thing over and over. One of the worst pieces of advice I've ever heard people give in the writing space or, the live streaming content creation space especially, you see a lot of people say, just keep grinding, you'll get there. Just keep grinding, just keep grinding. And while you do want to keep grinding, you also need to innovate and change and grow. If something's not working, just grinding it over and over and over isn't going to miraculously get you where you want to go. Stagnation is the death of creativity. I'm not sure if I came up with that line or if I read that somewhere, but it is very true. So that was 5 steps, but I wanted to give one final note on self-publishing from my experience. Before you self-publish, you should ask yourself, is it the right time to self-publish? Is it worth the effort and the money to create a cover and format the book and market the book? If it's only going to sell a few copies, can you build an audience in another way first, say like on YouTube? In my experience, you should self-publish a book to prove that you can do it, that you can see a project through from, inception, through writing it, through putting the whole book together and actually publishing it and putting it out. Because that's a huge feat, something that many aspiring authors talk about, but they never actually achieve. But for most authors, simply self-publishing book after book after book to minimal sales really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You want to try to grow on platforms outside of your writing, say YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, etc., and push that into your own books that you have for sale. Now, this could be different if you are a marketing genius and you have just a ridiculously great marketing scheme for every book that you put out. And by all means, if you're making significant money, if you're selling a lot of books, then self-publish away, right? I would never tell someone not to self-publish if they're making money. But I'm speaking to people that maybe put out a book and sell 15, 20 copies. Is it really worth it to just keep grinding? Again, there we go. Is it just worth grinding the same thing over and over and over? Or do you want to try to think outside the box on how you can grow what is essentially your business? In my own journey, that's kind of where I am right now. I've self-published 2 books and sold some copies, and it was a really great experience. It was rewarding. I enjoyed it. I loved seeing any reviews that I heard, or people that talked to me personally and told me how they felt about the book. But I need to focus on marketing. I need to focus on expanding. I'm trying to build this YouTube channel in hopes of building a bigger audience, so that when I do self-publish books, there's a little bit more interest when they're released. And again, I am not an expert on this. I just enjoy sharing my own personal author's journey with you guys who are, if you're watching this, probably aspiring authors as well. So that was 5 things I learned from self-publishing. If you guys have any thoughts of your own or tips that you might have for others, if you've self-published your own books, feel free to drop some comments in the chat below and let's discuss it. If you do want to check out any of my books, check out the Amazon link in the description below. Until next time, take care. Peace.